Alright, what's going on by this is the studio back to brand new video. More March Madness. Day one, round of 64. First recap. Um, Tended to do this yesterday at the end of the day, but I have been working with it during spring break. My work is very busy, so I've been unable to record videos when I'd like to and then upload them when I would like to. So, have been a bit late on this, but I'll try to get it into gear. So yesterday, started the tournament. A great year. First off, we were treated. The very first game was a throw down to the wire, TCU and Ohio State. Um, Funny enough, in these 8 versus 9 games are always a toss up. It's about 50% split between who wins and who loses. So after this one TCU victory, 40% brackets remains. That means about 60% of brackets were no longer perfect after the very, very first game. Kind of funny to see. Then we had Nebraska facing number 13 Troy. They handled business 76-47. Now I mentioned this about TCU Ohio State. Ohio State's been a peak and valley team where they played good and they played very, very bad. And peak and valley teams almost never perform in March Madness because if you have one bad game, it's over. They only lost by 2, but TCU was up for most of this game, and I think they were up by 15 at one point. Ohio State came back, kudos to them, but could not get it done late in the game. TCU wins. And Nebraska obviously handled business. The thing about Nebraska is they are a Power 5 conference. They're in the Big Ten, an historic conference in terms of sports in general. But this is Nebraska's first ever March Madness victory. That's kind of crazy that a school as big as Nebraska. Now, of course, they've never been a basketball school. They were always a football school in the 90s, but has also sucked. They've sucked in sports in general for a long, long time, but they finally got, and they've been in the tournament a lot, but they've always lost in the first round. Finally got their first win by almost 30 points. We've got South Florida and Louisville. Louisville was knocked out last year early, despite having a fantastic season, only losing I think 2 games in the ACC, and they survived South Florida, who was a really, really good team. They win 83-79. Louisville without their star player freshman. However, they have played a large portion of the year without him, so they will not really miss him that much. High Point, our first upset, technically. I mean, TCU was upset at 8-9, but first upset victory was High Point beating Wisconsin. This was a very popular pick. I personally picked it. I think a lot of people that I know picked High Point to win this game. I personally don't even know where High Point is. Never heard of the university, but they beat Wisconsin 83-82. Crazy, crazy ending to this game. Last second score. Really, really awesome. Kudos to High Point. Let's go ahead and check out. Let's see the stats here. Both teams shooting about the same. Only shot 50% from field goal range. Free throws pretty low. High Point got more rebounds. Only 6 turnovers. That's really impressive to only get 6 turnovers in a March Madness game. Siena, this game was crazy. Siena at the half was up by 11 points. They even were up by 13 points at once. That was their biggest lead, was 13. And then Duke, late in the game, pulled it back and won 71-65. Duke, number 1 overall seed, the best team in the nation on paper. They shot an abysmal under 20% from 3. Siena was hot early, but fell apart late in the second half. They did not shoot well in that second half. Siena only shot 6 free throws to Duke's 21. Now, people might complain about this, but Duke does tend to ground and pound down low and feed it into the post, where you draw a lot of fouls on drives and feeding it into post people. That's the name of their game. So it makes sense that they shoot free throws a lot. Duke, obviously, a great rebounding team normally. 16 offensive rebounds is a lot. Had 8 turnovers. Siena only had 6. It's also very, very good. Doty, this guy had a great game. 21 points. Only 3 of 12 from 3. Imagine if he would have been half that. That's 9 more points, and Siena wins. But hey, can see here, Duke's two players, or Caleb Foster, they have two starters out. Caleb Foster, their oldest player, he's a guard, great defender, good driver, not great of a shooter. And then Gumba, who is like a really big loss. He is a big time down low postman. Very, very strong, great defender, great rebounder. So Duke definitely is hurting without them. They should get Gumba back in the next few games if they continue to win and survive. Cam Boozer had 22 points. His smaller brother, Caden Boozer, had 19. He's been having a fantastic last half of the season. I'm assuming that John Shire probably called him aside. So, hey, Caleb Foster out. You are our guard. You need to step up. Otherwise, we will not have a good game. They both played 38 minutes the whole game. He had 19 points. Isaiah Evans had 16. Sarr had 5. Again, he has been in a shooting slump as of late. Only made one field goal. So he needs to step it up. Kamanea had 23 points. Kameneha, whatever, 3 points. Harris did not make a single shot, but had 9 minutes. Other than that, I mean, they're playing with 7 players right now, and that's not really a winning statistic. So, if Duke does not have their players back, watch out. McNeese, the Swindell team from last year that blew out Clemson with 30 points in the first round, also the 12 seed. However, their coach Will Wade has now left the NC State. They lose. They get in it, but Vandy ends up winning by 10 points and closes it out. North Dakota State and Michigan State, 92-67. This game was close for most of the game. Well, for the first half, I would say, and then Michigan obviously rounding it out, almost winning by 30 points. Blew them out of the water in the second half. Hawaii and Arkansas. Arkansas, I think, started the game on like a 13-0 run, and they look back, they win 97-78. I think Arkansas is the sleeper Final Four pick. They've got the best guard in the nation in terms of Acuff Jr. He had 24 points. They have a real shot of knocking off Arizona, in my opinion, and is the best. I believe they're only a 4 seed, but I think in terms of the bracket they're in, they are the second best team behind Arizona. I think they're better than Purdue, in my opinion. VCU knocks out North Carolina. North Carolina was up by 19 points. That is the biggest loss or biggest blown lead in the tournament ever from North Carolina. Last time VCU was 11 seed was when they were coached by Shaka Smart, I think in 2011, and they went to the Final Four. They battled back, 19 down, went to overtime, and won the game. North Carolina had a horrible game shooting wise. Well, I mean 41%, but in that second half, I think in the overtime they did not make a single field goal. They were like 0 of 8 from field goal range. Really bad free throw shooting, 60%, 12 of 20. That's 8 misses. Let's see. And they're without their best player. I've already forgot his name. He's a freshman sensation. In my opinion, I didn't think they were very good without him. And so I actually picked them to lose. Again, I'm a Duke fan, so but didn't think they were a very, very good team without their best player, and I was proven right. And they lost to VCU. And they're out of the tournament. Howard and Michigan, number 1 seed. No shock they won 101-80. A&M beat St. Mary's and beats them handily. I think they were up by 20 points at one point. It was bad. Final was only a 13-point game when they probably pulled out their starters. St. Mary's, I believe, in the last 5 years that they've been in the tournament, have lost in the first round. St. Mary's is in the Western Coaster Conference, something like that, with Gonzaga. That is a dog water conference. They don't play anybody all year, and they always are a decently high seed because they don't really lose a lot of games because their conference sucks and they have no competition. And then they come to March and they get their butts whooped. So always pick against St. Mary's. They are not a good team. A&M gets done. Remember, A&M was a contention for the SEC before they had a fall off in the last 10 games. Texas upsets BYU. BYU arguably with the best player in the nation, AJ, however the hell you say his last name. He actually had 35 points here. Only 1 of 7 from 3. Did not shoot the ball too well. Had 12 free throws. Other than him, I mean, they shot an abysmal 18%, 422. That's the game right there. That's why they lost, was right here. Texas was only 50% from free throw range. Out rebounded BYU, which they shouldn't have. Let's be real. But like other than him, I mean they've got Wright Jr. and he's a transfer from Baylor, I believe. But he only was 0-4 from 3. Had a bad game. Other than that, they don't have a lot of good players in my opinion. I think BYU is a very, very weak team. All around, all about one player, and hard to do. They get beat by Texas, and Texas was up by a lot. They were up by 15 as well. They had controlled this game the entire game, and the BYU came storming back, but couldn't close that gap enough. Texas ends up winning 79-71. Illinois beating on Penn State 105-70. Yikes! And look at this. This is probably the most lopsided victory of a 9 versus 8 seed. 102-72. St. Louis is the real deal. They have a really cool player, Avila. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a white guy with goggles, but he's a fantastic player. But Georgia gets absolutely destroyed. 102-77. People are like, oh, the NIL, all these big name schools, it's all going to be all Power 5 schools. We just watched a mid-major absolutely demolish Georgia. Pretty cool. We got Idaho and Houston. Houston, runner-up last year, went to the national championship. We're up late and through the game pretty much. How would they respond this year? They are in the same bracket as Florida, so if they win their games, they very well could play Florida again. That'd be cool to see a rematch. They beat Idaho 78-47. Kennesaw State actually kept with Gonzaga here, only lost by 9 points, but Gonzaga gets it done 73-64. That's the first day. I think after the first day, there was only about 10,000 perfect brackets remaining. That's like 0.09%, I believe. I was actually one of those brackets. So after the first day on one of my brackets, I was perfect. So it was pretty cool to see. I think the last 2 years in a row, there were no perfect brackets on the very first day. That's it for day 1. Round 1, day 1. Let me know how your brackets did on the first day. If you had picked any major upsets, or if your bracket got absolutely screwed immediately. It wasn't too bad of crazy blowouts besides this one, but I mean, Wisconsin, like seriously, don't pick them. This one, like North Carolina again, they lost their best player. BYU probably hurt a lot of people. But yeah, leave a like, enjoy the video, subscribe for more content. A lot more March Madness videos coming until Final Four. See you guys next time. As always, this is E3 signing out. Stay frosty.